Welcome to the Hello Sunday podcast with me, Nikki Hayden. This is the podcast that discusses everything self-development, spirituality and sobriety, and it wouldn't be me without a little sprinkling of humour. Whether you are just starting out on your journey of self-development or have been exploring these topics for years, are completely alcohol-free or just curious about living a more sober lifestyle, this is the podcast for you. Each week, I'll be exploring topics in both solo episodes and with some amazing guest experts. So if you like what you hear, then please subscribe, rate and review. So with that said, let's dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Hello Sunday. How are we all? I hope you're good. For some reason, I'm absolutely buzzing today. Not a clue why. Nothing really is kind of going on that's like super exciting. It's not a day where I would normally be buzzing. It's just a regular work day and it's currently 8:30 in the morning. I've not even had my space goods yet. So I've had a coffee, which was very welcome because we ran out of coffee beans earlier this week. But yeah, I've not even had my space goods yet. And for some reason, I have the energy like I could go and run a marathon and I'm grinning from ear to ear. So I'm going to make the most of it. Not sure why. I'd planned to record this morning anyway, but the fact that I'm recording in just the best mood ever means that hopefully that gorgeous, amazing energy will come through your earphones and your speakers and be contagious for you. So I hope you're also really good. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you've had a great week. And if you are listening to this on the day that it comes out on the Sunday, then I was going to say happy Halloween weekend. It's a funny one this year, isn't it? Because Halloween actually falls on a Thursday. So I would automatically assume that the weekend after would be the one where most people would celebrate. But actually we had a lot of celebrations going on last weekend. So whenever you celebrated or are celebrating, or even if you're not, happy Halloween or happy Samhain for any of my more witchy pagan listeners. Samhain is the pagan festival that actually Halloween came from. It's the separation of the seasons, and it's a celebration of everything kind of, autumn and life and the original rituals. So I hope you're all enjoying the celebrations, and even if you're not getting involved, I hope that you are just enjoying this festive time of year. So what have I got to update you on before we launch into this episode? We had a lovely weekend last weekend, really, really nice weekend actually. So after being absolute hermits for a while and focusing on just life admin and habits and, coming down from the summer and being a little bit more, just like cozy and just, hibernating a little bit. We had a really, really nice weekend with lots of friends. So we had the 40th birthday of one of our really good friends, which was lovely. It was a celebration of her with like her family and family friends and stuff. And then in the day, I'd also been for lunch with two of my best girlfriends that came up to visit from the Midlands. They didn't come to visit me. They came to go to like a shopping outlet, but me and one of my other best friends went to meet them. And we just spent like 2.5, 3 hours together. And do you ever have that thing where you just come away from seeing certain people and it just feels like you've been there for 2 minutes? It feels like you could stay there all day. It's like a flow state, but like human connection flow state rather than work flow state. And we just laughed and laughed and laughed to the point where the little like bistro cafe that we was in was only small and people were like turning around from their lunch and their afternoon teas to look at us like, I don't think they were too happy, but we loved it. And the energy that created then that took me through the rest of the weekend, I was just grinning from ear to ear and just had the absolute best time. So if you've got friendships in your life like that, and maybe they're people that because of distance or location, you don't see that often, get a date in the diary now to see them. Because honestly, this was just a random few hours that they messaged and said they were going to be around. And it would have been easy for me to say, oh, it's, the middle of the weekend, I've got plans on the evening, I've got stuff to do, I need to go to the gym, I'll just see you another time. But I didn't, and I'm so, so glad that I didn't, because it just filled my cup. So make those plans with those people. And if you don't have those people, maybe make it a focus. In fact, this is going into what we're going to be talking about today. But maybe make it a focus for the next 6 months to try and engage with and connect with more like-minded people, whether that is initially online or in real life, whether it's going to classes or joining communities or events or Facebook groups, whatever it is. Make it your mission, because honestly, like, these girls aren't even all into like self-development and manifestation. They're not that group of people. They are friends that I've been friends with for over 20 years from where I grew up. But there's just something about those wholesome, just filling your cup friendships where you can just be 100% yourself with them. That everybody should have an experience. So if you've got that, go and make plans with those people. I promise you will not regret it. What else did we do that weekend? Oh, I know. So on the Sunday, we have got the most gorgeous little farm shop and working farm about 10-minute drive away from us. It's actually got alpacas in, and for anybody that knows me personally knows I've got a little bit of a borderline obsession with alpacas. I absolutely love them. I think they're just the most delightful, happy creatures. And I used to have one when I had my own flat in Birmingham. At the bottom of my street, there was like this weird little, I don't know what it was. It was like a little farm with an alpaca, some chickens, a couple of goats. And then when I moved, I really missed having animals close by, because we've got gorgeous nature and woodlands and walks, but no animals. So we found this little farm shop and little farm, and every now and then we just go down there, see the animals, and the farm shop's got like all the most gorgeous homemade and locally produced produce, and they do like these amazing like, how would I describe that? Like chicken and stuffing and turkey, cranberry and stuffing and pork and stuffing, baps. Oh my God, absolutely incredible. So we went down there, got some produce for a Sunday roast, and then had a little snack for lunch. So that was just it was just such a lovely weekend. We did just enough, but also not too much to overwhelm ourselves, and just spent time with like the best people. So anyway, you're probably sat there thinking, Nikki, shut up about your weekend, nobody asked. But what did I want to talk about today? So I was scrolling back through the podcast. So the book club that I'm in, it's basically a podcast based book club. So we read the books together, but the lady that runs it also does podcasts on the chapters. And there was somebody asking the other day for a book that we read. They wanted to know when we'd read this book to see if they could find it. And I was scrolling back, and I ended up going down a bit of a rabbit hole, because you know what it's like, you see something and then you're like, oh, I remember that, and there was some key messages from that, and then you'll end up Googling, and it was just a whole thing. So I ended up scrolling back, and there was a book on there that we did. Now, I thought we did this book last year, but thinking about it, it must have been before 2023, because it was actually what inspired my 100 Days No Drinking. And this episode isn't actually going to be about sobriety. So if you're tuning in and you're not on that journey, or you're not interested in sobriety chat, then don't worry. It's not another sobriety episode, but it was what was the catalyst in essence for that journey for me. So, and I hate the word journey as well. I keep using the word journey on this podcast, and when I listen back and edit, I cringe, but sometimes there's only a certain way that you can, or a certain word that you can use to describe things. So this book, we actually did it in March of 2022. So here's me thinking it was 2023. No, it was 2022, and it was like right way back when as well. And it was called The One Thing. Now, when we were told we were doing this book, not told, we get a choice. So we do a poll each month in the middle of the month, and it decides which book we're going to do for the follow-on month. It's not always the book that you choose, but you just kind of get on with it. When we were told we were doing this book, I think I'd chosen the other book in the poll, and I remember thinking, I'm not sure if this is one that I'm going to really resonate with. I'm not sure if it's one that I'm going to buy the book for, because I don't buy a lot of the books. I just listen along. And then if it's super inspirational or I'm finding myself taking a lot of notes, I will go back and buy the book. And for this one, I didn't. And I just listened. And it honestly was one of those books that I will always remember as completely changing. Like the simplest of actions and the simplest of ideas completely and utterly changed, well, everything for me. And I'll tell you why. So the concept of the book is basically that changing or focusing on one thing can have incredible results in all areas of your life. And it's normally the one thing that you are avoiding or putting off, or knowing that changing it will not be easy. It's not something that you can just do overnight. It's going to be something that's going to take focus and commitment. And it's going to be something that, because of that focus and commitment, will have a knock-on effect in all areas. So one of the first parts of the book was talking about how you find out what that thing is. And I mean, it's honestly not that difficult to know. I think that most of us, when somebody is saying, what is the one thing that you could change that would change and impact every area of your life, you probably know. There's probably a gut feeling, or there's something there that is, it's just a knowing. And quite often we will deny it to ourselves because it is hard to change, or it is the thing that we've been avoiding, or it is the thing that we know is going to take the most effort and action. But for me, two things came up when we were doing this book. And the first, well, there was loads of things that came up, but the two things that came up that I knew, if I changed them, would have a massive impact, were drinking alcohol and scrolling, wasting time on social media. Now, I'm not sat here saying I don't use social media. I absolutely do. And there's definitely times when I fall into doom scrolling or just go down a bit of a hole. And it impacts, like, the time when you say flow state, like the way that those platforms are set up is for pure dopamine hits. It's designed to keep you on there as long as possible. And there's even been times where I've like clicked off it and then done something else and then gone straight back to it, forgetting that I've literally just come off Instagram or whatever it is. I don't use Facebook as much anymore. Actually, I've taken the app off my phone, but Instagram, because I use it for the podcast socials, and it's the one that I feel is more positive and more like I can follow really positive accounts on. That's the one that I was finding myself drawn to. So I knew doing those two things were going to impact everything, because the drinking alcohol, as I've said many, many times before, and if this is your first time listening, go back to some of the other sobriety episodes and like my story at the start and listen to kind of, my story and why I stopped. But it wasn't because I had a major problem. It wasn't because I was waking up every day hungover. It wasn't because alcohol was taking over my life. But I knew that the amount that I was drinking at the weekends, or even just like the occasions that I was drinking every week, like at least every Friday and Saturday, sometimes Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, was too much for it to not be impacting my energy levels, my productivity, etc. And this was just before I was starting my business. This was a year before I was starting my business, and I'd already started to formulate in my mind the kind of the start time and what I was going to do and when I was going to launch, etc., etc. So for me, I knew that if I wanted to start my business and not look back and regret why it didn't work, or know that I'd put everything into it, then what I did at the weekends and consuming alcohol was going to be a massive part of that. And also the social media. But the idea of this book is that you just change one thing. You don't focus on everything. You might have 5 or 6 things that you know you need to change in your life. Maybe you want to get fit and healthy. Maybe you need to sort out your finances. Maybe it's your your relationship with alcohol or your social media use, but you can't do all of those things at once because it's too much. You need to focus on one thing and one thing only. So for me, the drinking was definitely the one that I knew was going to have the bigger impact. And so that was the one that I chose to do. Now, we did this book in March 2022. I didn't start even thinking about my sobriety journey until January 2023. So for me, this was a huge journey. It was something that I had to really get my head around. It was something that I wasn't just able to do and dive straight into. You were meant to do it the month that we did the book, but for me it was just about taking in the information, listening to it, kind of making sense of it, and then when I was ready, I used that information to start that and action that. You might be listening to this and I would advise that you do this and thinking, shit, I'm going to start tomorrow. Like, there's no reason why I shouldn't start straight away, but I didn't. And I know exactly why I didn't. It's because I had the same mentality that most people have when they're going to give up alcohol. Like, oh, but it's just the nicer weather now. And, oh, we're going into summer. And, oh, I've got some holidays at the end of this year. And, all the same shit. So it took me until January 2023 to do that. And that one thing, changing that one thing, and I'm not just talking about me here because I changed that one thing, but obviously we were in a book club of people, like 3,000 people that were all changing different things, and I was listening to the feedback, and there's also reviews on the book on like Amazon and stuff, and I'll link the book in the show notes if you do want to go and read it. But for those of you that are regular listeners to the show, or maybe you know me personally, you won't have been able to get away without hearing me talk about Simprove. Simprove is a scientifically backed, water-based probiotic drink. You drink it daily and it has been scientifically proven to help with things like bloating, IBS symptoms, pain. It was actually a dietitian friend of mine that introduced it to me last year, and I honestly wouldn't be without it now. It's helped with my energy, with my bloating, it's helped with my immune system, and also things like my skin. The list is honestly endless. Now, I have got a code for you. So if you'd like to try Simprove, you can get 50%, that's a massive 50% off your first 3 month subscription by going on to simprove.com and putting in the code Nikki50. That's NIKKI 50, or clicking the link in the show notes. The feedback and the results were amazing, like absolutely amazing. There was people that were going on a fitness journey. There was people that were sorting their finances. There was people that were sorting their kids' bedtime routine, because that's a huge one. Like, I've got friends and family whose kids don't sleep, and geez, that shit impacts. And yeah, they've not really done everything that they possibly could to sort it. So it was focusing on that. And the amount of people that said how much this trickled into other areas of their life that they weren't even expecting. And that was the same for me. Like, with not drinking, I didn't anticipate how it would catapult and fuel my self-development journey. I didn't anticipate how much it would fuel my desire to want to look at like other toxins and chemicals in my life. It completely and utterly overhauled my productivity and the energy levels that I had, and I discovered Sundays, hence this podcast. So there was so much that happened as a knock-on effect just from changing that one thing. So for you, it could be that you share custody of your children and you co-parent with someone else, and actually it's not going great, or you've not got great communication, or maybe you've got different dads or different mums for your children and they have them on different weekends, and so just combining those weekends and making it the same weekend that you don't have your children would allow you to do more work, or to go to the gym, or to see your friends more, and that would then have a knock-on and ripple effect through all those areas of your life. Maybe it's finances. Maybe you bury your head in the sand every month when it comes to finances, and you are literally, hand to mouth every month and skint by the time it comes around to a week before payday. Maybe you know that sorting your sleep routine is the one thing that is holding you back, and that actually you're not getting enough sleep and therefore your energy levels lack in the day and your productivity isn't great as a result. For my husband this year, it was his health and fitness. I mean, predominantly his health and fitness kind of fed into that, but he stopped vaping when we came back from Thailand at the start of this year. He'd smoked for years. Then when he met me, he started vaping because I hated smoking. And then when we came back from Thailand, he was like, right, I'm completely giving up. That also kick-started a fitness journey because he felt a lot better. That's impacted his sleep, his energy and fitness levels. He's like a completely different person in terms of his like strength and energy and everything. Like it's just been the best thing that he's ever done. And that was literally just changing up one thing. And for somebody else in the group that I was in, it was sorting out their diet. They were somebody that went to the gym. They were somebody that worked out and, you know, took an interest in fitness, but they couldn't cook for themselves, were really bad with it when it came to like nutrition, and just, I think because of their job, if I remember correctly, just tended to like pick things that then meant that they had slumps, which meant that they were like napping in the day. It was affecting their sleep at night, and it was literally just changing their nutrition that meant that they had the same energy throughout the day, and it meant that then they were sleeping at a normal time and having that energy the next day. And also for me, a few years ago, I mean, I didn't know this at the time, but the Simprove product that I bang on about all the time, starting to take that, overhauled how sick I was getting. It put my immune system back on track after COVID. It sorted out my skin and my bloating and, you know, all these things that were impacting my life, it sorted. So these aren't, I guess, it's not, how do I put it? It's not an activity that you change. It's a habit or a lifestyle choice that you change. So, you know, it's not calling your mum every night, or it's not reading to your kids every bedtime. That could play into it, but it could just be like connectivity in general with friends and family. It could be that it's your sleep pattern or your nutrition. It's something that is basically a lifestyle change, or a habit, or something that feeds into that lifestyle change. So maybe having your kids with the dad on the same weekend doesn't necessarily feel like a lifestyle change, but actually it is, because then you get the opportunity to have a life outside of the kids on the weekend that you don't have them, which will allow you to work out and see friends, etc. So what is the one thing, as I'm talking, that is coming to mind? And I guarantee you'll have something. Well, I say guarantee, it's pretty likely that everybody will have something in their minds as I'm talking. But if you don't, have a think about the areas in your life that are maybe slightly, in fact, I'll tell you what's a good exercise to do, and I'll link it below. It's the Wheel of Life exercise. If you've never done the Wheel of Life, this is something that I do maybe like 2 or 3 times a year. I definitely do it at the start of each year. I definitely do it at the end, and normally kind of maybe once a quarter, actually, thinking about it. And it basically categorizes 8 or 9 different areas of your life, and you score them. And then you look at the ones that are lower and you pick 1 or 2 to work on. So for instance, it will be like finances, home and environment, friendships, your romantic relationships, your fun and adventure. You get the idea. And then if you look at the areas where things aren't working so great, maybe you've scored low on finances, romantic relationship, and fun and adventure. But actually, you know, the one thing that is linking all of those things is your finances. You know that if you sorted out your money management and saving, that you could, you know, maybe look at your subscriptions each month and what's going out and what you don't need to spend. You could maybe afford to have a holiday, and your romantic relationship or marriage in general would benefit from that. Maybe it is your friendships and your business or finances and your fitness, and maybe you know that deep down you're just not having the energy to focus on socializing or on your business, and therefore it's having a knock-on effect to your ability to earn. And it's all linked back to your sleep, because maybe you're not getting enough sleep each night. There will be a linking factor. There will be something as you do this that you'll think, do you know what, actually that is the one thing. And the social media thing, like, I don't know many people that wouldn't benefit from that. The amount of time that I speak to people and they say, but I just don't have time. And then I ask them, go on and look at your screen time. You can look at it per app, because I have screen time on my phone, but I use it for work. So that isn't always a good indicator, but you can actually go on and look at per app how much time on average you're using per day, per week. That shit is fucking scary. If you look at it, I guarantee that you will be pretty scared by the amount of time that you are wasting on social media, and you don't even know it. It's, you're not on your own. So changing that is definitely something that is a focus for a lot of people, or should be a focus for a lot of people. So have a think about what the one thing is that you can change. For me right now, I would say it is new business partnerships and creating new business opportunities. I have got a handful of really incredible and loyal clients, but I'm also very aware that at a point when they dry up, or that changes, or anything changes with that model and those clients, that client base, that could all blow up in my face. So I need to be ahead of the curve with that. And also that impacts my finances, which impacts my marriage, which impacts my sleep. It's all kind of a knock-on effect. So changing the way that I do business and the way that I structure my week to incorporate more new business development activities is definitely my focus for the next sort of 3 to 6 months. So what's your thing? I'd love to know. I'd absolutely love to know. Please do message and let me know what the thing is that you're going to be changing. Get some support around you. Let your friends know. Like when I did the no alcohol for the 100 days, I let everybody know, because I was like, I don't want people, not that I don't want them asking questions, but I don't want to be like goaded or egged on to drink or put in a position where I'm having to kind of explain myself. So I just let everybody know, look, I'm launching my business. I'm doing 100 days sober. I want the best chance. And everyone was super supportive. Like there wasn't anybody that questioned it. I obviously got a couple of like, oh, you're going to be boring now. You're going to hibernate and lock yourself away for 3 months. And of course I didn't do that. And I'm not doing that at the moment either. And I'm still not drinking. So let people know, let the people in your life know why you're doing this, what benefits. It may be that it has a knock-on effect to them. It may be that it inspires them or motivates them to do the same. But it's such a powerful tool. Just changing one thing will honestly have a ripple effect into other areas of your life that you probably didn't even realise. So I hope that you've found some use with that. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that it has inspired you. And as always, please do follow and share and like and tell. Just, do you know what I would love for you to do this week? Just think of one person. This ties in with the one thing, but think of one person in your life that would benefit from this podcast or just one of the episodes that you've listened to, and share it with them. Send them the link, send them the Instagram page. Just introduce one person to this podcast, and not only are you going to be helping them out, but you're going to be helping me out. And I'm so appreciative when this gets shared and I can see that I've got more listeners, and yeah, it gives me a warm fuzzy feeling inside. So thank you for listening, and I will be back again with you next Sunday. Thanks for listening. You can find us on Instagram at HelloSundayPod, or you can email us on hellosundaypod@outlook.com. Have a great week.